In recent years, you have dedicated yourself to investigating contamination at U.S. military bases, both domestically and internationally. What prompted you to start looking into this issue? What harm does it cause?
It affects your thyroid, okay? It is an endocrine disruptor. And the endocrine system in your body fights disease. So it lowers your ability to fight disease. All you have to do is go around from base to base using social media, asking people if they were involved in certain what we call MOSs. And we know that certain MOSs, engender cancer.
You have particularly looked into the military contamination in U.S. bases in Japan. What did you find? What has been the reaction of the locals?
In Misawa, we found a pond that flows away from the runway. And so we did that in Misawa, and we found 1,400 parts per trillion of mostly PFOS. The EPA here in America, they say that we want 4 parts per trillion or less in water. In Japan, it's 50. PFOS is really important because it bioaccumulates in aquatic life. Have the PFOS bioaccumulate up to 4,000 times the level in the water. So if you have 10 parts per trillion, you might have 40,000 parts per trillion. When you're in Japan, they go, oh, it's just really not fair. We're not allowed on the bases, and they're picking on us. We're like colonial subjects here in Japan, and the Americans are contaminating our water, and they're poisoning us, and there's nothing we can do. It's not fair.
When you did your investigations, what obstacles did you face?
I spoke in 14 cities in Japan, and all 14 cities, basically my message was the United States military is poisoning your water. The United States military is poisoning your fish. The United States military is poisoning your food. So then when I'm getting ready to leave to come home to the United States, I was in Osaka airport. You know how you are waiting to board, like your group 3 or whatever. Then they go, Patrick Elder, please report to the whatever. So I had to go to a special room. And they said, we have to examine you for explosives. And they said, this is random, entirely random. So, okay.
In a recent article, you said the U.S. Navy has contaminated your blood. Could you provide more details? We rarely see reports on PFAS in the mainstream media in the U.S. and Japan. Why?
Almost 5 years ago, I tested the water in my backyard. I'm on the sea or the beach, Chesapeake Bay, salt water. And about 600 meters across the water is a Navy base where they use the firefighting foam. And so the foam comes on my beach every day. But I didn't know it was carcinogenic. So I ate a lot of oysters, lots of crabs, lots of fish. And that's what made me have the high levels of PFAS in my blood. And I see that in every state. And I see that in Japan. I see it in Korea. I see it in Germany. It's the same everywhere. 2 years ago, very few people outside of guys, people with PhDs in universities had even heard of PFAS in Japan. It seems that the United States government has been able to control the thoughts by controlling the media. The media has not been reporting it, and so people don't know about it.
Victims of PFAS in the U.S. and abroad are struggling to seek compensation from the U.S. military. Why do you think it is that difficult to get justice?
I think that the United States military is deeply concerned with liability. You have to understand that one F-35 fighter jet costs about $90 to $100 million. Many of these ballistic missiles that they're setting up in Japan, pointed at China, cost many millions of dollars. And the stockpiling of those missiles costs billions and billions of dollars. And so if you begin to seriously take care of all of the issues, liver cancer, kidney cancer, uterine cancer, testicular cancer, thyroid cancer, and you begin to earnestly take care of all of the service people in the United States military and all of the members of the community that they've poisoned, then you won't be able to have enough money to make the missiles to point them at China. Did you think it was any more difficult or complicated than that? These guys, they are masters of propaganda.